Hey everybody, it's Showblock back with our second installment of the tutorial run for Cogmind. And where we last left off, we're on -8 materials, which is not too deep in the game, but we have gone through a branch, that being the mines, and to get to the map here, you just hit backspace. So let's talk for a moment about evolutions and how you should evolve in the early game. Now, there's lots of different ideas and schools of thought on this, and the strategy and coming up with it is part of the fun of the game. But let's just go over what I didn't take. And to this point, I've had 2 evolutions, and I did not take a power slot, and I did not take a weapon slot. So let's talk about that for a second. Why did I not take a power slot? Well, the basic reason for that is that you don't need one this early in the game. You can get by with 1 power slot pretty decently into the mid-game. As you go through the game, you're going to start finding items and weapons that start drawing more and more power, but in the early levels, you just don't have enough evolution slots to attach items that are going to start really becoming a burden on your power system. So you can safely ignore your power system early on. Now, when you get into the later game and you get into some propulsion that's starting to draw some power, and you're getting into some weapons that really start to draw power, or even utilities that really start to draw power, things like shields and that, you're going to want to eventually take a power slot. But in the early game, you can safely let that slide so you can focus on the other areas. Now, the weapons, on the other hand, a weapon slot may be useful in the early game. The reason I decided not to take an additional one is that it allows me to stay flexible going forward into the complex. And what I mean by flexible is that I still have the option to go stealth. And now, what is stealth? Well, stealth is a different type of playstyle than what you might normally be used to in a roguelike game. A roguelike game is typically, you see bad guys, you want to kill bad guys, gain experience and things like that. In Cogmind, it's not so. Combat is completely optional, and in some cases, and maybe even most cases, it's actually detrimental. So a stealth build is aimed at actually avoiding combat altogether. And when you go a stealth build, you generally do not want to take an extra weapon slot because you're not going to be fighting anything. And so that slot, that evolution slot that you would take for a weapon slot, would be completely useless for you. Now, if you decide to go combat from the beginning, from the get-go, that's just what you want to go, then it's perfectly reasonable to take a weapon slot. But I like to keep my options open. If I run into some sort of cache of really good flight units, or I find a hauler that dumps some really nice flight units, I might decide just to go stealth. And to be honest with you, to be frank, stealth is much easier to win than a combat build. And that's just because when you're fighting a combat build, you're actively raising that alert level and making the game more difficult. When you're playing a stealth build, you're not killing anything. You're not blowing up machinery. You're not doing any of that. So the alert level just tends to stay lower automatically. So that being said, that's why I did not take a weapon slot or a power slot. So what's left? We have utilities and propulsion. And I've taken 1 propulsion and I've taken 3 utilities. And this is up to some debate here. To some regard, I don't know that it really makes a huge difference. Propulsion is nice in that it's never really a bad decision, I suppose. You can use propulsion as sort of a poor man's armor. If you remember the propulsion, I'm hitting Shift D here to bring up the propulsion information for one of my treads. You can see that it does not have any mass. So what does that technically mean? Is that I could attach as much propulsion as I wanted, and it has no impact on my overall carry capacity, on my mass to support ratio. So it functions as somewhat of a poor man's armor, that I can just attach pieces of propulsion to me and it will soak damage. And, it's always useful to some degree. So propulsion is not really a terrible decision. I mean, at some point it becomes, maybe a burden if you're, depending on your play style. More utilities are more useful overall. But propulsion is not terrible. So in this case, I've taken 3 utility slots and 1 propulsion, and utilities are, kind of dependent on what you have. In this case, I had the hard, heavy armor plating that I wanted to slot in, and that actually takes 2 utility slots. So that's the reason I spec'd into 3 utility slots. Usually, maybe the first couple of levels, I like to keep it balanced, a propulsion and utility, but you can experiment and see what you like on your own. So anyways, let's just go ahead and get into it. At this point, we can still either go combat or stealth. So here we go. I have some allies here. I'm hitting Alt and Shift to scroll around the map. Sorry, here. Alt and Shift, and I'm looking around. It looks like, based on the terminal information that we have, I believe this came out of a derelict log. We're at the bottom of the map, and most of the map is ahead of us to the north. So I'm going to try and go and grab this terminal over here, just for funsies. Moving with directional pad. Just poking into the... yes, okay. So here we go. This is actually an interesting situation. Now, this is what's called a garrison, okay? And garrisons are what pop out, where sort of squads pop out of, depending on if somebody alerts or if there's an investigation squad sent, they come out of here. Now, this is a particularly difficult spot because, oops, I wanted to hit X to display it, or to scroll through here, but I'm hitting X, and this guy up here, the defender, he could potentially call in reinforcements from this garrison here. So this is a very dangerous spot to be in. Now I'm going to go ahead and engage just because for learning purposes, but normally I probably would avoid doing this. And just so that I can show you what this is like and what we can do with garrisons. How we can... So he notices us. So I'm going to try and we have another defender that's apparently been called in here. So I'm just going to so you can see there that the defender called in garrison reinforcements, and he popped out right there. So fighting in front of a garrison is really, really dangerous. So you want to kind of try to avoid that if at all possible. And even if we were in this hallway over here, for example, somewhere over in this area, and a watcher was noticed us and sent out a call for reinforcements, they would probably come from this garrison, okay? So anyways, we're going to continue. We're going to see if we can take care of all these guys. I'm going to fire at this guy that's closer. Well, maybe over there, because he's still got an 84%. I'm hitting F to fire. Base hit 84. I'm going to go against that guy. We've killed him. More defenders coming in. Okay. Alright. So now I'm going to come down here, and of course defenders drop treads, which is actually pretty nice for us because we're treading. But I'm going to go ahead and go into the center here and try to jack into this. Now this is a machine, like all of the other machines kind of in the complex, a special type, and you can... There's a couple of things you can do here. You can unlock access, which essentially turns this into a branch. It will open up a stairway into the garrison, and I am not going to do that. I'll let you do that. But it ends up being a branch, and you can do things inside this branch that may be of interest to you. It's difficult, particularly in the early game, but you probably want to give it a shot at some point. Another thing that you can do here is seal access, which will actually shut this garrison down completely, so no reinforcements can be called from it. I've tried it. I've failed. I'm going to let go here. There's other things you can do here, but again, I'm trying to keep this as spoiler-free as possible, so I'm not going to go into that. Okay, so we have some stuff here. I'm going to hit 3 to display the information on the flyout. We have some armor plating, not particularly useful right now, but I'm going to pick it up. And I'm going to hit A to apply these treads directly to me because they're in better condition than the ones that I currently have equipped. And there we go. And it took off the ones that I could support in my inventory and put them directly there. I'm going to drop them. I'm going to drop the damaged one directly here. Okay. So let's see what else we got. 3, the callouts. We got some recoil stabilizers, some heat sinks. Do we have a heat sink in inventory? We have one on us. not one in inventory. It might behoove us to pick that up, and I'm going to go ahead and do that. Wherever that is, I'm hitting X to go into cursor mode and just scrolling around. We found the heatsink over there. Okay, I hear some action outside. That sounds like swarmers, and that is probably because one of my allies are mixing it up out there. We're just going to go ahead and engage. Okay, we're not in a firing position. We're just going to kind of walk out here. Okay, now we have an informer who has just sent out a distress signal. So I would expect that they would come from that garrison. Maybe not. Coming from somewhere. Let's take care of this guy. Now, here's something interesting, is that this guy, you can see that he is somewhat darker yellow now than he typically was before. Like, for example, if you look at this informer here, this guy has gone darker yellow. What that means is we've basically blown off all of his weapons. And for the time being, he does not pose a threat to us because he can't fight anymore. We've blown off his weapons. Now, that doesn't mean that he is not a threat forever. He's going to go around until he can find somebody to repair him. And they'll put his weapons back on, and then he'll come back and try and kick our butts again. So, yeah, sometimes you can let him go. I'm not in a generous mood today, so I'm going to let him. And then again, I don't like this watcher here, so I'm going to try and get rid of him. And you can see these recyclers are scarfing up everything that we have dropped here. Okay, so we have an interesting melee weapon up there, a scythe. It could be helpful if we decide to go stealth. So I think I'm going to go up there and get that eventually. Okay. So here we go. These are commandos. These are very difficult enemies. They carry Gauss cannons, Gauss rifles. They have targeting computers, which make them more accurate towards you. And perhaps most importantly, if you watch this, they might not do it because they're firing at my allies. My allies may have killed them. And they did. But they can fire through walls, which make them very dangerous, particularly in a late game. So if they see you, I'm not safe in this room. They'll just be able to stand out here and fire through the walls. They do not destroy the walls, so I can't fire back at them. Makes them very difficult to deal with unless you're particularly adept at combat. Additionally, if they lose sight of you, they will send out drones. This guy here, real quick, is trying to pick up this Gauss cannon, Gauss rifle, and I want it. So I'm going to shoot at him to send him away. So now he's running away. Now I can safely pick this up. I will give up a shotgun for this, and I will pick it up, sort my inventory by type, hitting T, and if you can see, wherever it went, I don't even see it there. Did I pick it up? Acquire the assault rifle. Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't get the... what happened there, dude? I'm missing his rifle. Maybe he didn't drop it. Maybe I destroyed it. I'm going to hit F4 to get my information. He collects... Yeah, it must have not dropped. I must have destroyed it. Okay. So I have an assault rifle. I'd rather have that than the shotgun. So anyways, hit 3 for the call out just to see if I'm missing anything interesting. No. Alright. Come on over here to this terminal. Jack in. And let's see. What's our alert level? I'm going to hit B for that. Still low security. Not terrible yet. Let's see. So records, real quick, are just sort of how the story unfolds in Cogmind. At least not all of the story, but a lot of the story you can get through just getting records. Doesn't provide any sort of in-game bonus, but that's how the story unfolds. And I believe that the records end up showing up in your lore log. So if you hit escape to go to the menu and then 9, you can see all of these lore collections that I have here on the left side. You can actually look through these. I don't want to stop on here, so spoil anything, but I believe they show up in there. I know the other parts, there's other parts of the story that unfold through conversations that you have with NPCs and things like that. So anyways, those are what records are. We have the alert level again. We can check what the alert level is. I already did. We have the purge threat, which we discussed before, which lowers the alert level. Surveillance status. We'll try and do that. Probably not. Nope. Locked it. Better get out of here because an investigation squad is coming, probably from the garrison. And here he comes. Here they comes. Okay, you can see that our assault rifle is starting to take a little bit of damage. 3 for the flyout. Oh boy. Okay. We're into a little bit of a pickle here. Alright. We're going to need to deal with these guys. And so this guy, both of these two right here, the Bruiser and the Rogue, are melee bots. So I'm X, D for display. He has a katana. He has a hammer. And they're both going to be coming to wreck my day. So I think I'm just going to stand here, stand my ground, pull into this room, and fire at him. Let's hit this Watcher, scare him off. Outright. Our ally is really doing work, so it's been helpful there. Our assault rifle is looking a little bit rough there, so actually here's a fresh one, so I'm going to hit A for apply. It will drop the one that we had that was damaged directly on the ground. We're good to go there. Our heatsink, we can replace it with this one, which is in a little bit better condition. A to apply, it'll drop the one that we have directly on the ground. Okay, back up here, I mentioned that I wanted to pick this up. They're helpful for stealth builds. Melee weapons. Now you can also make a melee-centered build. I haven't really played around with that much yet. Melee started to come into its own a little bit more with some new items that were added in the later alphas. I haven't played for a couple of builds, so melee may be more powerful now depending on the utilities you can pick up, but I primarily use melee to break through walls when I try and go stealth, and I'll talk about that a little later if I decide to in fact go stealth. So I have to decide what I want to get rid of in order to carry this around. And I think the answer right now is actually the heatsink. Is it the heatsink? Let's see here. It's the armor, the light armor. I'll get rid of that for now. Okay. Again, just, wow, having fun here, huh? I'm going to come right here. I'm going to let them walk down the hallway until one comes. Oh, that's not nice. Destroyed my ally. Until one presents himself. One more. Okay, here we go. See, in this way, I only have to take on one at a time. Okay, so I've hit him to the point where he doesn't have any weapons anymore, and he's going to run away. I'm going to ignore him for now and continue on. Blast him away. Work on the defender. We have another defender coming. Again, fighting near a garrison is very dangerous. As you can see, again, F4 at the bottom there, G47 Trooper calls in garrison reinforcements. And I've had to fight a lot more combat robots than I would have otherwise, because they're all coming out of that garrison. So this is an instructional moment for you of what not to do. Passing turn by hitting 5. I'm going to apply these, A, and again with these. 3 to bring out the callouts. We're okay. Alright, we have some interesting stuff in here. We have a VTOL module, which is a decent fight unit. They are not bad, and as a matter of fact, I would like to collect that if I decide to go stealth. Particle cannon. This is actually better I feel here. I'm going to hit D to display the particle cannon, and I'm going to hit Shift K to compare it to my heavy laser. And you can see by all of the minus flyouts there on the left-hand side of the statistics that this heavy laser is a little bit worse than the particle cannon that is on the ground. So I'm going to actually dump this laser and put on the cannon. Now, one thing about cannons is they have the potential for punching through walls. Not actually that great of a thing, depending on what you're going for. Usually what you want to do is to kind of move yourself into a defensible position, like in a choke point, or fight on the inside of the wall that makes that funnels robots through a door, so I can fight them one-on-one. Well, if I'm fighting with a particle cannon or a cannon in general, it has the potential to shoot errantly and actually blow out the wall. So now it gives them another access point to get in and fight me. This can be really tricky at times, and it actually can cause you to sort of spiral out of control sometimes. So keep that in mind. And also, cannons tend to leave a little bit less loot behind after you destroy a robot. Anyways, back to it. Pulse rifles. I'm going to actually get rid of this shotgun. Get the pulse rifle. And then I'm going to dump one of my treads, Alt-2 to drop it, and G to get to bring on along this flight module. Now we have these guys that couldn't get to us through that choke point, so they're trying to path around to get to us now. This trooper here, he's coming, so I'm just going to step in and fire him here. We've had another informant on us, so we should have some more company shortly. This guy just sent a distress signal. We're standing on a improved heatsink, which dissipates more heat than our current, the normal heatsink, that's in worse condition. The display, it only has 19 integrity out of 40, and it dissipates 14 heat as opposed to our Shift E regular heatsink, which dissipates 10. I'm not giving up the integrity for heat, so I'm going to let it be there. This guy's going to grab it and run. Okay, so we have, again, our alert level. I'll check that. We're still low security, and D for branch access didn't work. I'm going to let it go. Okay, so we have some troopers up there and a soldier. I am going to actually hit slash again for SWAT mode. I'm going to put in our grenade launcher for our particle cannon. So actually for our assault rifle. So J, C, and wow, that was very bad luck. Look at that. So he destroyed both our power and our only form of explosive weaponry. So we're going to retreat here. A lot of guys coming in. And we're going to put on our heavy assault rifle again. And we're going to wait here. Try and fight these guys as we can. Tab to cycle enemies. Our hard heavy plate armor is starting to take a little bit of damage now. Okay. Okay, continue fighting this guy. There we got him. Ooh, I still have not actually attached a core. Interesting. I'm going to put that on now. Alright, let's see if we can get this watcher here. I don't want him calling in any more reinforcements. Alright, we got him. Alright, now we have to deal with these guys coming up from our flank. After they've pathed around. Okay, now we have a recycler in the way. I'm going to pass. Let him get out. Yikes. Okay, we're starting to accumulate heat, so I'm going to back off a little bit to dissipate some heat. Duck into this room. Pass a turn. Now. So we got that done. Alright, we have particle charger. These increase the energy gun cannon damage by 15%. Not particularly interested at this time. I'm going to actually dump our hard plating here and pick up a new one. It's very fortuitous of us. Okay, what do we have up here? Shotgun, not a huge fan of those. This is an assault cannon. These are good. Beam rifles. I'm going to dump this thermal cannon, the particle cannon, for the assault cannon. So now we're running complete kinetic weaponry. Alright, so continue on. There's one of our recycling machines. You can check to see what kind of inventory it has. We'll hit C. That's interesting. So we have some treads in there, and so we have all this stuff here because they were, yeah, all this stuff because they basically what they've done is picked up all of the stuff that ended up falling out from the combat that we have here, and they stuffed it into the recycling machine. So we could potentially go in here and do retrieve components, just 40% success rate, but it would be kind of interesting to see all this stuff pop out. Keep trying. Okay, so it gave us 10 of the 57 or 56 components that it had. So you can see all the stuff that those recyclers collected and shoved into the unit here, that it's all out here. And as a matter of fact, these light treads are better than the ones that we have. So I'm going to put those on, and we'll dump the ones there. And a junkie flight unit, and a weight distribution system. Okay. This guy's coming to pick up the stuff. And away we go. Ooh, advanced sensor array. This is a very nice piece of equipment that we found. These are very valuable for a stealth run. So I'm going to pick that up with hopes of switching over to a stealth run at some point. If we can find some better flight units and a better signal interpreter, I think we're in good shape. I would also like to find a medium storage unit. Okay. Come on, buddy, get out of the way. Nope. Force you out of the way. Up to the terminal. In we go. Machine index 0%. This is a level 2 terminal again, so it's not as it's a little bit more difficult to hex. I would like to find the level access points. That's not going to happen. Okay, pests. These are more difficult to deal with now since we do not have an explosive weapon, and we're in sort of a very difficult position here. We can't get into very easily a side room to deal with these guys in a one-on-one fashion. So I'm going to sort of step back, and you can see that they're like on me right away. So I'm going to have to just suck it up and fight them all out in the open. Luckily for me, they're not that hard, but they do have trooper support, so we're going to have to fight the trooper now. Oh my god, a bunch of them. So I'm going to retreat into here, let them come to me. Now remember, we're packing a cannon here, so you can see that the cannon misfired and it blew a hole through this wall. So that, that gives another potential avenue to get to me. Now, generally they don't misfire that bad, and they would misfire and hit one of these walls and blow it open, where the other guys were stacked up right behind him, ready to pound on me. So I'm just going to keep going like that. Luckily, it was repaired right away by this guy right here, an engineer. Alright, so... Okay, so actually that plating has taken a beating already. So I'm going to go down here, and there's an extra one. So I'm gonna slot that in right away. Alt H to drop it, A to apply. You can't actually apply multi-slot parts directly. You have to actually drop something or have space open in order to... you can't apply them if you have no room. It won't auto swap for you. So I had to drop my armor. That's just something to keep in mind. Okay, back to it again. All right, there's a technician. Remember, he's going to run to a terminal and inform on us. That's probably that one. We have no shot at catching him. We have probably very little shot at actually destroying him. And anyways, he's informed on us. Okay, check the alert level. Okay, so you can see now we're no longer low security. We're starting to climb the alert ranks. We are at 1D, which is still pretty low, but you can see that after the ruckus that we're causing, it's starting to climb. I'm going to actually try to do an alert purge manually, which will try and lower the threat. Now we have went straight to 45%. I'm not going to push it anymore. I don't want to lock this terminal, and I don't have an investigation squad sent out. Now also we could get some schematics here, which would allow us to build those items if we found a fabricator. They're not too useful, but those particular items. But there are a lot of schematics that you will want to acquire if you're going on a stealth run. Let's go back into here again, and you can actually again use any command. So I could run a schematic for, you know, maybe EM shield manually if I wanted to, and try and get that way, or any item that I wanted to. If I wanted to get a heatsink, so I could put in a heatsink just like that and try and get a schematic for it. In this case, I don't want to do that, so I'm going to go. Now, I'm going to fire at, that was the operator. Operators carry some nice equipment if you're interested in going on a stealth run. So, and same with this informer. Okay, so here we go. Here's those boys. Into here, defensive position, one-on-one, fire them up, just funnel them through. Now see, I've blown a hole through there, I'm in trouble. Okay, I'm not in trouble anymore. Alright. Our heavy assault rifle is starting to take damage. Let's look at the particle gun compared to our heavy assault rifle. Our heavy assault rifle, we can dump that and get this particle gun. Okay, 3 to bring out the flyouts. These improved heat sinks are much better than the heat sink, in better condition, so we'll take 1. Sort of inventory by type. I want to kill these informers. Oh man. Alright, never mind. We're getting out of here. That's an arc again. I'm taking this there. And I got my gun. And I can get out. That's factory, and it's been... we know that stairway is a factory because of our signal interpreter that we have attached. So now we've got to make a decision here. What are we going to evolve into? Probably a propulsion, at least. Maybe 2. I think 2 propulsion is where I'm going to go. Still leaves our options open to go stealth. And I'm going to attach, I have this treads, and I can attach that right away, this extra treads. And I could also technically attach this VTOL module. Now, if I attach that, you can see that it activates right away, and we would be going slow 3. And the reason is because the support of the VTOL module is pretty bad compared to everything that we have on it. You know, we can only have one type of propulsion active at a time. So I could hit semicolon in order to cycle through my propulsion, my active propulsion. So I can have treads active, or I can have flight active, but I can have both active. Now I could leave this flight module on, this VTOL module on, to soak up damage, but at some point I would like to go flight, so I don't want to sacrifice the integrity of this flight module, so I'm going to take it back off. So we'll start, but I can put on this carbon fiber leg, and again cycle back to my treads, And that carbon fiber leg will take damage and essentially act as a piece of poor man's armor. So we'll keep that on for now. Nothing in here. Ooh, I'm actually running without a weapon. I should put something on. Let's put our beam cannon back on. Okay, I just want to poke through here and see if there's anything that's in this hallway. Ooh, an alarm trap. I'm not going to go down that hallway. Don't want to trigger that trap. Okay, another hallway. Areas like these, I'm kind of leery in traveling because they're very wide, very long, and they do not have any sort of point of retreat. So if we were to run into a squad of swarmers or essentially a squad of anything, an arc, this is really sort of a dangerous area to traverse because you don't have any place to sort of hide, and you're going to have to take everything on head on. And we don't have a launcher, so we would really take a lot of damage if we ran into something in there. So I'm going to try and avoid that if at all possible. Okay, we have a large matter pod, which I don't feel that I need at this point, and this improved field recycling unit, which I don't need. All right, we have an informer. I want to whack him. All right, I got him. And he dropped his engine, some matter, and a hover unit. I'll take the matter. Blade trap. Scanalyzer. I don't know if we've gone over one of these machines yet, so I'll go over it again. These machines will allow you to insert a component into it, and once you've inserted it successfully, it will bring up an option for you to scan it, which will give you the schematic for that component. So if I wanted to make a copy of my heavy plating, I could insert it and scan it, and then I would be able to build it at a fabricator at some later point. Now, one thing that you need to be cognizant of is that anything that you put in there when you're trying to scan it has the potential to take damage or be rendered inoperable. So you sort of have to balance that. I wouldn't put anything in here that you are heavily reliant on. For example, if I was reliant on my advanced sensor array, I wouldn't put it in here because it has the potential to be destroyed. Another useful thing for these guys is that if you stumble along a prototype and you don't feel comfortable attaching it to your Cogmind, you could also put it in here and scan it and have it identified. So we're going to ignore this for now. Okay, minigun. Display, X to go. Okay, so this is 14 to 20 damage. Critical 1%. Some recoil, but we're treading, so the treads help with recoil. I'm going to pick that up. Now, you can hear there's some sort of humming going on while I'm standing next to this thing, so I can hit X and D to display nuclear reactor. Those are explosive. If you look at the structural analysis, that just tells you what their sort of resistances are. So it takes minus 50% damage from explosive and plus 50% damage to electromagnetic. But these will explode, causing a sort of an area effect damage. It'll blow all the walls out here and everything. So when fighting, you kind of want to take note of what you're fighting around. You don't want to fight around these things because if an errant shot hits this, it can blow up and blow a lot of stuff off you at any time. I should also mention that if you inspect the robot, you can see the modifiers on it. Like, for example, this recycler at the bottom here, you see the modifiers. It takes plus 25% from electromagnetic damage. So that's something else to note. All robots have their... Ooh. Bad luck. Oh, I thought I could get to that machine before he could. So he's informed on us. So let's take a look at him. He takes plus 50% damage from electromagnetic and plus 25% damage from slashing weaponry. So take a look at the robots, and you can make some strategic decisions when you're engaging in combat. No luck killing that guy. I feel that we want to go up. Okay. I think I better. There's a launcher over there a nice launcher. I'm not going to go for it just yet. I'm going to back up to a defensible position. Buddy, get out of my way. Alright, come through the door. There we go. Alright, we lost our power. Let's put that on. Improved heatsink. Let's grab it for now. Let's wait for the company to come. That's coming for sure. Getting 5 to pass turns. Okay, maybe they've lost us. I'm going to go down south just here to check things out. Do we have any interests? Shotgun, heavy particle cannon. Display that. Compare it to our beam cannon. Beam cannon requires less energy, generates less heat, but has less damage. I'm going to take it because our beam cannon is pretty beat up. High-powered shotgun. Shotguns can be okay in close quarters. Not super great from far, but... Ooh, plasma cannon. That's a level 4 guy. What do we got? X over, D to display. That's good. That's a lot of heat, though. A lot of heat. 80 heat a shot. We're currently dissipating 52, standing still. I'm going to go for that guy. I like that. Okay, what can I give up? Sort by T for type. We'll dump that pulse rifle. Get that. Okay. I'm going to try and... Ooh, improved signal interpreter. These are... better than what we have. I've hit A to apply. I had to do it twice because I was detaching a processor, and it makes you confirm. Because once you detach a processor, they're gone forever. They're destroyed. And we're just going to move our way up. Okay, now we have a launcher over here. I'm going to go at this. Pick it up. Okay, we've walked next to a hidden door, which gives us a view of our buddy technician over here. I don't want him to see us, so I'm going to go up, shut that door. I'm going to pick up this launcher. Very nice launcher. Dump that bad heatsink, pick that up, jack into this terminal, and I'm going to try to do alert purge again. So I could go into Z and push the up arrow to bring up the last command I executed manually. I'm going to hit enter, and I have a 66% trace already, so I'm going to let this go. Gauss rifle. Now we're getting into some good stuff. Ooh, and a heavy mace. Heavy mace, I believe, is better than the scythe. So let's compare. D to display the mace, and then Shift 8 to compare it to the scythe. Actually, the scythe is a little bit better in terms of it's got a little bit more crit. Well, more damage, I believe. Our damage is 29 to 32. That's 16 to 42. I don't know if it matters. I'll get it. But I definitely want this. We'll dump that assault rifle. Okay. And then we'll dump the scythe. Get this. Now, one thing to notice is that if you look at these terminals, this guy is sort of like a single square terminal, while this guy has got some more stuff going on. And, you know, that occupies like 1, 2, 3, 4, like 9 squares or 10 squares. Yeah, 10 squares. This is more likely to be a higher level terminal, so I'm going to go and jack into it. You can see that it's a higher security level 2. I'll hit F for access points, and I'm going to let that go. We're not going to have too much success there. Here's the fabricator that we mentioned earlier, which would allow us to load a schematic, which we cannot because we don't have any. If you hit S to bring up your status, you can actually go down to schematics and you can see that we don't have any. And if we did have some, you would be able to actually view them here. Anyways, back in. We can do network status, which I believe tells us how much matter is available in this network to build items. You only have a certain amount of matter in every level that you can use to build items. So you can't fabricate forever. You can't build everything that you want. You only have so much matter. And I will say this, that there are ways to make that figure go up, but I won't cover that. And you can also find some schematics already preloaded in a fabricator. So I'm going to see if I can build this heavy laser that's already here, that's preloaded. And we can. And you'll notice that it'll start building, and it has a counter that appears. And that's how many turns that you need to stick around before it will actually be done. And it'll just drop it on the floor right in front of the fabricator. I don't want that item, so I'm just going to ignore it and keep going on. I do want to check out that prototype cannon, though. Ah, yes. So here we go. If you can see up in the log, we have alert robot located programmers report to factory zone 55. This is somewhat of, like, if you're familiar with a traditional roguelike game, they call it the food clock. You need to eat food, you know. So it's sort of a mechanism that keeps you driving forward in the game rather than just sort of sticking around and sort of maybe scumming a little bit, you know, doing things that just trying to take advantage of the level, you know, or the game, trying to game the mechanics. So every now and again, after so many turns in the factory, and from the factory on, you'll find out that they'll start sending programmers after you. Initially, you only, I think, get one per wave that will show up. But later in the game, they can send multiple at you. And what they are is that when they're dispatched, they will be able to track you with a 100% accuracy until they see you. So there is absolutely nothing that we can do to avoid these guys except for leave the level at this point. So at some point, they're coming. And they carry electromagnetic weaponry. And we'll talk about that in a second whenever he shows up. But again, this heatsink, I'm going to leave that be. I'm going to check out this cannon. So I'm going to hit Alt. Ooh, don't want to hit Alt H. I want Alt M to drop that. And then apply this. So we have a mini assault cannon, which is better than the regular old assault cannon, I'm hazard to guess. More damage, more crit. Salvage is a figure that, the less salvage you have, is the more likelihood that parts are going to be destroyed when you kill robots here. So I want to actually pick this back up. Can I get it? We'll dump anything? I don't want to dump anything. So I guess it stays. So there he is. And he's coming through a secret door. And he's firing. Okay. I want to call your attention to this figure up here. We have now been corrupted 1%. Now, corruption in this game, you saw a little bit, our screen just sort of garbled a little bit. That's indicative that we're under corruption. Now, what does corruption do? Well, it makes you do sort of crazy things your Cogmind can do. As this figure starts going up and up and up and up, you'll start firing randomly in a random direction. You can eject parts. You can walk randomly in a direction. And the higher that figure goes, the more likely that will happen. And the way that you get corrupted is through electromagnetic damage. And the programmers are one of the primary sources of electromagnetic damage. They always carry electromagnetic weaponry. And you can see that their modifiers here is that they take extra damage from kinetic, thermal, minus 25% from explosive, and they take very, very little damage from electromagnetic damage. So, let's continue destroying this guy. Okay, he hit our plate. Alright. As a matter of fact, they sent two at us. I got lucky and killed the second guy. Okay, they have nice engines, though. And I'm going to pick up that engine. I think. Yeah. I actually want to drop. Oh, that's a light angular. Pick it up. Okay, what are we doing? We have some spots to fill now. I want to take that improved heatsink. Energy filter. And we don't really need to reduce our energy cost at this point from firing weapons. We don't have a lot of weapons. Okay, come through. Target analyzer, that's actually pretty good. Increases crit chance. I'll put that on, that's a processor. Semicolon to sort our parts by type. Flat gun up there, let that be. We're gonna have to start thinking about a different set of propulsion here. Our treads are starting to go. We haven't seen a lot of defenders or replacement treads here, so we might have to decide whether or not we want to stick with treads. We're moving to legs, which are much more common. Now I have 187 matter. Oh boy. And I'd like to tank up a little bit, so I'm going to kill this recycler. Recyclers they always carry matter and a reasonable supply of it. So I've killed that recycler, and you can see that he had 68 matter. So when you're running low on matter, that's an option for you. Alright, this terminal is going to be maybe a level 2, maybe even a 3. It's level 3. There is absolutely nothing I'll be able to get done here, but I'll try anyways. No, not gonna risk going. So again, more programmers are coming at us. All right, we got a group here, so I'm gonna employ my missile launcher. / swap it in for my thermal L. D for missile launcher. Let's have at him. That one guy has no weapons anymore, so he's going to run away. Okay, we lost a tread. I'm going one-on-one now, so I'm going to take off the missile launcher into a Gauss rifle. Now he's out of weapons. I'm going to put this leg on right away, straight away. We have a light nuclear core, which I wouldn't mind taking with me. Actually, what I would like to do, what I should be doing, and I don't know why I'm not, it's maybe because I didn't realize I was carrying an extra storage unit, is I should be actually running 2 storage units. What's our S? What's our mass? Our support is still pretty good on 3 treads. I definitely could support the other large storage unit because we're running 35 of 60. I'm going to hit Shift 3 to display the storage unit, and our mass on that is an extra 16. So we would still be under budget there. But I don't know if I want to do that. Our heatsink, I definitely want to pick up that core though. Yeah, I'm going to actually do that. I'm going to go swap mode, swap out the heatsink for our large storage unit. Still moving 160, which is good. So now we can decide if we're going to get that core. I'm going to get that core. I'm going to take that stairway because, oh, that was very bad luck. Okay, so I stepped inadvertently onto one of these areas, which you can be caved in on, which is bad news. What did I lose? I lost a heatsink and my power. So now I got to put this core back on. And can I put? Do I have anything else laying around here? No. Okay. Another heatsink? I thought I had another. Yeah, I do. So I'll put that back on. Oh, and I lost a tread. That's bad. Because now we're moving a lot slower than we should normally. Alright, I'm going to kill this guy in hopes I can... actually, that guy, well, run out of matter too. Alright, well, here we go. I'm going to have to switch the legs. I'm going to go to town on the attacker. He took my only power source, and he did not drop one. Just going to tee off on these recyclers because they're taking all my goodies. Put in the grab mag system. Go back to legs. Now I need to find another leg. These robots here, they generally just carry wheels, so not that great. This guy, on the other hand, let's get this informer out of here. Fire at him. Got him. Now this guy, he's got treads. Let's see if we can get that guy. We did. Let's get that tread before it gets picked up. Good. Going back to treads. Okay, we need matter. Anything good around here? Just checking. 3 to bring out the flyout. Alright, let's collect all this matter. Buddy, you're going to have to move. Okay, we're back up to matter. Let's kill this guy. Maybe not. Just get more matter. A little bit more matter. Terrain scan processor. Very nice. You can see that our corruption figure up here is now at 16%. So we're going to start, you know, having some bad effects eventually. That's repair bay. That would repair an item that we have. I don't really have anything. I think that we can risk. We need to stick around for that on. Now that's the stairs to the next level, which I think I'm going to take. But I need power. I actually don't have any power. I should go back there and get that power. It's probably been picked up already. Yeah, it's still there. Let's get that light engine. It's not that great at this point in the game. Alright, so this guy is trying to fix things up. He's calling in support. I should also note that enemies, instead of just coming from the garrisons, they can also come out of the stairs. So we kind of got lucky that nobody was coming there. Alright, so now we've kind of got to make a decision. I think we're going into -6. We have not been able to get a flight build going so far, so we can still try and push it and try and get that flight build going, but I'm not feeling so comfortable with 2 weapon slots going into -6. Perfectly honest with you. So I'm going to go combat. I'm going to make the commitment, I think. Put in a weapon slot. I'm going to take another utility. Still running on 1 power. Maybe next level we get another power. Okay. I would like to make use of the sensor array. As a matter of fact, I think this is a good spot to stop for this run. So we're in -6 factory. We've decided, we finally have committed to going combat. I've picked up another weapon slot. I wasn't able to get flight going. I wasn't able to find any sort of nice cache of flight units or find any off of any haulers. So at this point, I think I've made the decision. You know, we're gonna forgo doing stealth this run, and we're gonna commit to the combat. So running with 2 large storage units and our target analyzer should help us in the early goings here. Now I have an extra weapon slot, so I'm going to put in perhaps this minigun for short term, and we'll kind of roll like that. Now I think the priorities from this point would be to pick up some more propulsion, more legs, or more treads. The grav mag system is essentially there for now just to soak damage. We are running slow because we are overweight. We're carrying 47 mass when we can support 40. That's okay for the short term, but ideally we want to get back on full speed. So we have to find more legs or more treads. Anyways, I think that's it for now, guys. Thanks for watching. We'll catch you next time.